Hi, I'm Marion and I like long walks on the beach.
I'm Camille and I'm a strong, independent black woman.
Hi, I'm Savannah and my Friday night consists of Netflix.
My name is Riley and I like my men messy.
Our molecule is isoprene, also known as rubber. So we'll talk about the cis and trans molecules of isoprene, the Charleses, rubber plantations, and World War I and World War II with rubber's involvement. So cis and trans. This is an example of a cis, and this is an example of a trans. The isoprene with only 5 carbon atoms is the smallest repeating unit of any natural polymer, making it the smallest natural polymer. So cis is known by having the H's and the CH3s on the same side, making it symmetrical. The double bonds in the cis molecule cause less rotation, making this a more rigid molecule, which is what we use to make tires or bowling balls. The polymerization in a cis molecule is relatively simple. The molecule continues bonding across the CH2 because it is a continuous chain. It bonds at the CH2, and new double bonds are formed between the C's. The continuous carbons on the continuous chain of the carbons on the same side make it a cis. Trans is relatively just a flipped version of a cis molecule. The H's and CH3s are diagonal now. This twisted shape allows more rotation in the molecule itself, which makes more flexible rubbers like we use in hair ties and the elastic waistband in shorts. The polymerization in a trans molecule is pretty much the same as a cis molecule. It continues bonding off the CH2. It bonds at the CH2. The only real difference is it is flipped, and polymerization, these are flipped. So the continuous chain of the carbon atoms crosses from one side to the other, making this, and across the double bond, making this a trans molecule.
This is about the two Charles, La Condamine and Goodyear. First, Charles Marie de La Condamine. He was an explorer, and he was the first to experiment with natural rubber, like from trees. And so he went on a trip, and he saw some of the natives there using rubber for different things, and he took some of it back to Europe. And when he got there, he realized the problems with it. And so he realized that when it was in extremely hot temperatures, it got gooey and sticky, and when it was cold, it got hard and rigid. But he still recognized its possibilities and potential and what could be done with it, and so he continued to experiment with it. Later came Charles Goodyear, who later founded the Goodyear Company you may have heard of, and he studied rubber for about 9 years before he came up with a process known now as vulcanization, and he basically put rubber and things in with the put sulfur with the rubber, and he was able to fix its many problems, and it took him about 9 years to come to that. So this is vulcanization, and this is a snapshot of a strand of vulcanized rubber. And so basically the sulfur is added in different ratios depending on the type of rubber you want to make and what you're using it for. So in this case, the rubber is bonded at the carbons where the double bonds are, and it bonds to different areas and connects the different strands of rubber, and it helps fix the problems that you experience with rubber when it has extreme temperature changes. So sulfur plus rubber equals stable, usable rubber.
Okay, my topic was rubber plantations. Less than 1% of the trees in the Amazon basin were rubber trees. The best trees only gave about 3 pounds of rubber per year, and balls of cured latex were taken downstream by canoe from the Amazon basin, and it eventually reached the city of Manaus, which became a boom city of the basis of rubber. Mansions, fancy carriages, and luxury stores carrying exotic goods and other signs of wealth could be found in Manaus at the height of the Amazon rubber monopoly between 1890 and 1920. As early as the 1870s, Britain began to worry about the constant felling, or to cut down a tree, of wild rubber trees in tropical forests. More latex could be drained from fallen trees than alive ones, up to 100 pounds compared to the 3 pounds per year from chopping. In 1876, an English man named Henry Alexander Wickham left the Amazon with 70,000 seeds from Hevea brasiliensis, which was the tree that proved to have the most rubber latex. In June of 1876, he arrived at a home of a botanist named Joseph Hooker, which was located outside of London. A propagating house was established, and the rubber seeds were planted. More than 1,900 rubber tree seedlings were to be sent to Asia. The first seedlings were shipped to Colombo in Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka. The first 2 rubber plantations were established in western Malaysia. By 1932, 98% of rubber came from plantations in Southeast Asia. After the December 1941 Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Franklin Delano Roosevelt proposed solutions to looming wartime rubber shortages. He also thought of the manufacture of synthetic rubber.
Rubber has been changed by history. Rubber now applies to many different varieties of polymer structures whose development has been touched by the events of the 20th century. The U.S. depended greatly on Southeast Asia's rubber supply, and this was a great concern for the U.S. government. Although rubber was being produced in great numbers, more needed to be produced to keep up with the nation's growing industrialization and transportation sector. During World War I, the German rubber supply of natural rubber from Southeast Asia had gotten stopped by the Allied blockade. In a response to the blockade, German chemical companies developed many rubber-like products, such as SBR, which is styrene butadiene rubber. SBR had similar properties to natural rubber. After the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 1941, the U.S. got pulled into World War II. President Franklin D. Roosevelt investigated solutions to looming wartime rubber shortages. After the Standard Oil Company formed a partnership with IG Farben, they shared processes relating to synthetic oil. Part of their agreement stated that the Standard Oil Company would have access to some IG Farben's patents, including SBR. In 1938, the Nazi government informed the company that the U.S. would be denied any information on Germany's advanced rubber manufacturing technology.